Namaste, my friends. How are you doing? How are you doing right now? I want us all to get settled in and check in with ourselves because we are about to go through a lot of different things, and I really want to make sure that you are aware of where you are in this moment and how you're doing before we begin. So if you would like to join me, you can place your right hand or your energetic focus over your heart, and your left hand or your energetic focus right at your sacral below the navel. And we're going to close our eyes and take 3 slow, deep breaths in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Notice how you're feeling. As you breathe in unconditional love and release all that no longer serves you. Check in on your body, on your mind, on your soul. Check in with your subtle bodies, especially the light body. And we're just going to allow for a moment some quiet so you can truly listen to all of you. Don't overthink it. Do your best not to judge. Simply allow for whatever words, emotions, memories, information to come through and passing like a gentle wave in a calm ocean. And once you have connected and you feel aware of how you are in this present moment, begin to bring your focus back to your breath, back to the present moment. And you can slowly wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you feel ready, gently Slowly opening your eyes. And welcome back. So now that you know how you are feeling, how you are experiencing the present moment, we're going to talk about a really, really big download, an initiation that I just received in a way that I have maybe experienced once, but not even in this quite same way, over the course of probably about 2 to 3 hours. I would say probably 2.5 to 3 hours. And before I get into that, I want to share how this all came about and why this all came about. So for those who do not know, I am a healer, spiritual wellness coach, and intuitive chef. I am plant-powered, which means that I use the power of cannabis and other plants in spiritual wellness to achieve and embody an unconditionally loving, balanced, and healthy life. And of course, many of us find, as I have, that what we are here to bring and serve into the world and beyond is what we are healing, first and foremost. And I have been on a very big health journey in this experience. I have been living, experiencing disability, pain. I've released things like suffering, and yet I found myself, especially since I got COVID in mid-December, coming back into these moments where this remembering of suffering was coming through. And I proceeded to go into a very big death, rebirth, shadow-loving experience where I was going through all these different infections and simultaneously going through all of these life lessons and all of this loving and upgrades and downloads and just constantly for months. And I just turned 33 and I'm a Life Path 3 on March 27th. And over my weekend, my birthday specifically, we, being my parents and I, went to Topanga Canyon per my desire, per what I was feeling called to do, to fulfill upon many things, most importantly, fulfilling upon this vision and calling that I was receiving to this powerful, smoky Lemurian crystal for purposeful healing from Brazil. The rainforest is what they believe. And I knew that I was going to get the one that was in my vision. This looks exactly like what I was seeing, that it was going to be big and that it was going to be this really big connection where this was going to be a tool for my healing and a collaborative tool for the empowerment and healings of others. And I didn't specify how I wanted this healing to come about. I simply allowed and was in flow with the universe and all of this. And I got through the weekend. Monday morning, 7 a.m., I bolted out of bed into a massive physical purging, which was manifesting in a couple of ways. I'll leave it at that. And this was very intense for the first 4.5 hours. During this, I was receiving a huge amount of downloads, upgrades. I was going through this whole purging initiation, and it was very challenging in my experience, in the perspective of the experience that I had. And it took me 3 days to really recover and to reground and to really return from that experience. And based on just prior to my birthday, I had a similar and also radically different experience of an initiation around fear in my health. And I kind of thought, awesome, I have massively overcome so much. I have reached this whole new plane, and I'm going to release, XYZ. I'm going to be in total flow, and these are no longer going to be things that I allow for myself to get in my own way. Well, yesterday, I woke up feeling virtually identical to how I was feeling on that day after my birthday, when I woke up 16 hours after getting this crystal and asking for healing and then going through all this purge. And I was like, no. I need to get things accomplished. This was yesterday. I have so many things that I need to get done, that I want to get done, and I can't do any of these things if I'm embodying this. And I start immediately taking action to do whatever I can to get this to stop. So I heal intentionally with some cannabis. I pray at my altar. I give myself an hour of Reiki. I take a Zofran. I drink some water. I take my probiotic and Stamid 7, the mushroom supplement. I do more than that. Just all these things, throwing all these things at it. And I made it through the day, but not very productively, and ultimately was in deep resistance. During this, I reached out to my dear soul sister, my friend, my best friends, one of my teachers. Some of you know her as Divine Miss B, Brandy Culver, and get all this channeled messaging to me that this is really predominantly my solar plexus, which is a common theme for me, and that I am still facing fears and anxieties, and that's what this is about. I was in super deep resistance. And it took hours for me to really even acknowledge and be able to honor and, the experience, and really say to myself, yeah, I'm getting in my own way here. Where I was like, no, this can't be, because I went through all of these other things, right? And I've done this. I've released it. We're moving through this. I shouldn't be experiencing this anymore. And I was determined to overcome gastroparesis experience and all of this anxiety and all of this that I felt I had released. I was frustrated. I was pissed. I was not feeling well at all. And instead of taking the day to be in flow from that point on and from the get-go, and instead of me releasing things that I had planned for myself to do, I resisted. At large, got a couple things done, but in a way that was not great or enjoyable. And it meant me just being pretty miserable, frankly, all day. And before I was going to bed, I had a breakthrough, which I honestly don't even remember really what it was, but I know that how that came about was because I was going to watch something before bed as I was getting ready, actually The Good Place for the millionth time, and Netflix and the internet was suddenly, like, all my other things were working. My phone, like if I wanted to play music, meditation music, was working. It was effective. I don't like to really use the word work. This, however, was just the wheel was spinning at 95 and then eventually 98%. I tried turning the TV off. I tried doing all these different things. And it was funny because throughout this process, I said, well, clearly I meant to meditate. I had told myself that I was going to meditate at the end of the day in order to try and really receive these answers and get some support and to feel better. And at the time, it was coming from a desperation and from a frustration, and so I was not acting as my highest self. And so I kept doing this over and over and over again, even though I knew that I really needed to meditate. I find myself often in a space of resistance when I know that I need to meditate and I don't feel well, especially because I know that meditation ultimately will help me to feel better. And so I say, okay. And I proceed to meditate for an hour, about an hour. Music works fine. And I finally get myself into this really deep meditative state. And my cats currently have decided that there are these couple of huge dogs in my building that walk right behind here. And one of them in particular, really two of them, but one of them in particular puts its nose right up to the front at the screen, especially when the window's open. They go ballistic. And so that happened and quite challenged me to be in the present and to go through. And I kept having, bring myself back and resetting, and ultimately I could not get myself back to that exact moment. And so although I felt like there were some answers and things that came through, I was not quite satisfied. But I did feel very tired, and I did feel connected, and I did feel ready to go to sleep. And I knew that there was a good chance that I was not going to be able to go forward with my plans that were for the early afternoon with a friend of mine. And I had already expressed that. So I had already slept at like 8-9 hours, but I woke up still kind of not feeling great. Text them, not feeling great, fed the cats, did everything, went back to sleep. And I ended up sleeping about 11 hours, 11.5 hours. And I woke up certainly feeling better than yesterday and quite determined to be in flow, quite determined to still get the things that I need to get done, the adulting things, taxes, and dealing with PUA, things like that. If you don't know what PUA is, you're probably not in California, and that's okay. It has to do with the pandemic relief. And, I went about my morning routine, my affirmations, my prayers, all that, going to my altar, and, get all of my decks, put them next to me that I'm planning on asking questions from and everything. And I start to really get, oftentimes I will actually do my cards after my CBD, CBG tincture, but before I have any THC on board. And this time it was very adamant. Some days it is. Some days I feel very intuitively that cannabis needs to come first. Also, can we just shout out how cute my cats are being right there, right? They're so cute. So I roll up a joint, which interestingly felt called to use this strain that I felt was not bringing benefit for me. And I was frustrated that I couldn't understand why, because this looks so Lemurian, like these crystals, so high vibrational. I felt called to. And from legitimately the moment that I set intention of healing, spark up the joint, start to think about how I would like to receive some clarity, and these informations just come flowing in. And this was the beginning of the whole experience that I didn't really know that I was going to have. And ultimately, I knew that I needed to go into meditation. And I could sense that it was going to be a long time. So I made sure that needs were met, reset myself, get even deeper, put out the joint, and prepare myself with the Lemurian crystal in my lap to meditate. And I put on a track from Insight Timer that I'm blanking on right now, but it's something I think about unconditional love, compassion, something else that I'm blanking. And I start to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And it was like effortless. Not even like effortless, it was effortless. And it was quite a while into it where I start to realize that I am being guided by and communicating with the Light Collective through the Lemurian crystal, within the Lemurian crystal, in collaboration with the Lemurian crystal, which I've discovered is a portal for the Lemurian representation and for ultimately the rest of the beings that are in the Light Collective, which, for those who do not know, if this is the first time you're watching my videos or you haven't seen it, I receive transmissions from the Light Collective. And have been in a deep Lemurian, unraveling, unveiling, exciting communication time. And I'm getting so deep into this that I am I eventually realize I am essentially accessing my Cashapp records, and that I am doing a lot of changes, manipulations, clearings, rebuildings into all of this. And through all of this, receive a massive, massive, massive download and amount of clarity around a couple of things. The first thing, one of the meta scale things of this is the new Earth. So we're going to talk about that. That's something that's been coming up a lot, something that I've been hearing coming up a lot, and things that I've received messages on before, but this was all totally new. I have, to my knowledge, never brought myself into this way. It was ultimately the only other time that I had an experience remotely like this was during my first QHHT session. Well, I've only done one QHHT session right now. And it was still different because this was coming through me and me, like I'm here, conventionally alone. Whereas with QHHT, you're guided by a human being, and also all around who is not you, so to speak. And I had to be still for 2 hours or so, completely still, as I was going through this. There was a lot of physical things that were happening. I was getting my bones literally cracked into and ligaments into alignment that I could hear auditorily, as well as my chakras, and turning those on and doing all of this. healing and configuring and realigning, and then my whole body was vibrating and tingling and waves and heat and cold and going through depending on different things. So the second thing, outside of, yes, new world, was what can be done to release and no longer embody this fear and this anxiety, and therefore experience this nausea. And then I actually went even more meta into pain. Through this learning, or rather relearning and expanding upon what I've already felt and what I mentioned much earlier, which is that we come to serve what we are healing first and foremost in ourselves. And in this whole download and everything, it was an expansion on what I already knew, which was that I'm constantly sharing from this place of these things I've experienced and overcome, and these are ways that you can do it. And so I knew that this was more than simply for me, but also for me to share with all of you, for anyone who needs to and wants to and feels ready to release their anxieties and fears, get out of their own way, especially around pain, anxiety, nausea, so on. But really, this fits across anything that you could possibly imagine. And there are other things that came through, and some of them are very personal and private for me, and some of the things I can't recall in this moment, and I know that I will be recalling certain things over time and sharing those things as I am recalling them to share them and called to share them. I can't possibly, this is already like a 27 plus minute video. I can't possibly share everything that happened in that time, because even though in our perspective of time, this was like a 2 to 3 hour whole experience, I was receiving more than myself, or rather probably any of us can imagine, right? Because of course I'm the one who can imagine the most of what I've received because it came through me. So I believe that we can all do this. Same way for you, right? I will never be able to know exactly what you have received in that amount the way that you do for you. So what I'm going to share is what I'm being told to share and what I feel called to share, and anything else that will come through, and with the idea of doing this in a way that is very clear, very simple, very concise, very easy, and inspires and brings courage and confidence for this experience for you, and knowing that this is something that you can do as I'm doing it as well, and have already come to overcome this. And this is now, initiation 3. Again, this is part of why I brought up turn 33. I'm in a 9 year right now, which is, 3 times 3 is 9. I'm a life path 3, so of course 3 initiations into ways of overcoming this. And I invite you to watch, listen to this, practice within this as many times as you desire and feel will be beneficial for you. So, with that said, we are going to now actually start to dive in to the content. Now, I may get into moments of pause, of altering and recorrecting in real time some things that are said. This will be in part for clarity, and in part because I am recalling something that I'm really still experiencing. This after an initiation, I find that there's all this aftermath of still unpacking. Like there's the initial initiation that's like 2 to 3 hours, which isn't necessarily always 2 to 3 hours, could be more, but it's continuing along. And it's continuing along. So, I appreciate your patience as this is coming through. You are welcome to close your eyes or have your eyes open, whatever it is that's going to help you to feel in a mode of receiving, of active listening, of opening your heart and your mind, your perspectives. This is going to be most beneficial for you as long as you do this. As long as you have yourself open and give consent to receive this. So I'm going to likely have eyes sometimes open, sometimes closed during this process. It will be easier for me to connect and to recall as I am still going through the unpacking and the aftermath of the at-large complete download when I'm giving something that's condensed. So I encourage you to get into a comfortable position, and we are going to dive through. I did take a couple of notes after this all happened for me because I wanted to make sure that it was easier for me to recall, and that if there was something that I felt like I forgot, that I could fact check myself here. I also know intuitively and trust that I will be sharing whatever it is that I need, and I don't anticipate myself looking actually at the paper. So here we go. So many of you who are listening and or watching this video, receiving this message, will remember this toy. Certainly if you are an older millennial, Gen X, baby boomers, likely beyond, but not quite much farther beyond, you'll remember this toy. And it was like this little viewfinder that looked like a binoculars, was red in the body of it, and had this slit above it whereby you would stick inside a wheel of images on film, and it would have this clicker on the side, this little lever, and you would pull this lever as you look in through the viewfinder, in through these lenses of the binocular-like toy. And this wheel of film images would rotate clockwise and bring about a reflection, an image through the viewfinder that you could then visualize and enjoy. And I believe that those who are around my age, 33, so I was born in 89, would remember this toy from between the ages probably of 4 and 6 most, perhaps older. And the parents may remember purchasing this toy, playing with this toy with their children, their child, their nieces, nephews, all of the little ones in their family, of any way of being. And this is representation, metaphorically, but in a way that is a gift, a Easter egg, if you will, a clue. Of how you can experience all of those different moments in a moment of clicking through as you look through this lens. Now, in this case, it is the same lens and different moments, different experiences by way of picture. And moving as this lever as you are choosing to go from image to image to image. And if you wanted to see a particular image first, you could take out the wheel of images and you could put it down facing in from, if I recall correctly, from the image that you wanted, it would begin right there. And you could also swap between different wheels of different sets of images, different collections of moments, of memories created. And at large, these were, cartoons, Disney, things like that, nature. And this was essentially an upgrade from a tool that did not have a lever where you could switch through images, but that you would manually have to swap out the image looking through one viewfinder. And so you would be experiencing one moment, and then another moment, and then another moment, almost with time of your perceived experience in between of switching, which is longer than this toy where it was moment and then a moment, push down the lever, click, moment, push down the lever, click, moment. And now as you come into that resonance, into that memory, and you're allowing for these thoughts, these connections to be made, we're going to come to a much more modern resonance that at large so many are experiencing now throughout so much of their experience in the perception of a human day. And we're going to come to social media. And we're going to also, in tandem, come to movies and editing them. And so, with the movies, when editing a movie, the movie editor can change the perspective of the viewers, of the audience, by way of adding a filter or multiple filters, changing the perspective for the audience. An example of this could look like our experience of The Wizard of Oz, where everything begins in black and white and grayscale, and then the color starts to bleed through and over, creating a full world, a full visual for the viewer, the audience, of all of this color. And in the human experience, this is incredibly historic, as this was the movie that did this for the first time and brought this world of color, and this is something especially baby boomers will remember very well. And now, after all of the effort, all of our perceived time and experiences, generations of going through all these different experiences up to the technological advancement of being able to add this filter to change this perspective for a wide audience, and having that be specialized, and having that be something that only some humans perceive they can control, that they can bring value, that they can create within, that they can implement. Now we have social media, which is at large in so many hands and lived experiences and knowledge, from very, very young to much, much, much older. And we have this capacity to change the perspective, the viewing, by adding filters and choosing through an array of filters, even creating our own filters and applying them to video, to images. And so for a moment, let us imagine a picture. Any picture that you've taken, and any platform that you choose that has filters. So at large, that's Instagram and Facebook, TikTok. So just imagine that you are on that platform. Whichever platform, and you are in the process of uploading that picture, that video. And as you are looking at that picture or watching the video clip, you determine that the perspective that you are experiencing then is what is going to be the perception and experience of the audience that views the picture, the video. And you decide, you choose, in anywhere from a blink of an eye to perhaps a minute, as to how you want that perspective to be changed, how you want this image, the video moving image, to be received and perceived from those who see it. And so you swipe through these different filters, or you create a filter and you choose very quickly in our human perspective of time. And so even though contextually in that moment you may just see yourself making your image or your video on the surface level look better from your understanding of what that means, and there is so much more there that is being created. See, the new world is only as far away as your perspective of it. How far you feel from being in a dimension, a density, an experience, a perspective of an unconditionally loving world, whereby you are lighter and everything feels unconditionally loving and therefore light, and you are manifesting and creating in an instant, in the exact moment that you choose for it to be created. There's belief without any doubt whatsoever, and it creates and manifests and comes about into action and actuality of your perceived reality in that exact very moment. Perhaps even faster than you can imagine at this very moment, as all of this and all of the human experience to various degrees is going to be so vast beyond what can be perceived and understood now, even if one understands this context, this concept, until it is fully embodied and embraced. The perspective will only take you so far, because you will not be in that perspective. And so in the way that you have the control, the power, the free will to co-create, taking that memory perceived to be still or moving and place a filter over it in a matter of seconds to change that perspective, you are therefore changing an outcome, changing an experience, changing a memory, all because you chose, and you chose quickly, without any doubt and complete belief, even if it feels that you have some doubt once you have clicked post. This is simply an echo from the ego and does not represent or resonate with your highest self, which has made that choice, knowing exactly what perspective you desire to be experienced by you and the audience, those who view it. And so this new world, this unconditional love where you are lighter and creating in an instant, choosing with effort, is for now, the 3D in this perspective, choosing with ease, effortlessly, instantaneously, experiencing a continuum of bliss, of joy, of light, of unconditional love, all that falls within. It's a filter away, a perspective away, a choice away. Allow for this to integrate. This possibility of you being empowered, courageous, brave, compassionate, empathetic, kind, honest, true, and trustworthy. That you are believing so deeply, that you have chosen so securely, that it simply is. It's a filtering. And as easy as it is for you to filter in what it is you desire, you may also filter out what no longer serves you, what no longer serves the collective. Within the one. It's a choice, and another choice, and another choice, and another choice. Filtering out, filtering in, filtering in, filtering out. When you are present, and you have intention, and you act within unconditional love, within this frequency, this perspective will be strong enough to experience and embody the new world. And so if new world is a phrase that does not resonate with you, you can look at this as a new perspective, a new way of being and embodying. And yes, you very well may be in this moment having breakthroughs and epiphanies, being activated and initiated. And you may also feel a bit of resistance, where you feel it is easier said than done. And that is okay. And a new filter, a new perspective, a new choice can release that and bring you into this new way of being. And the good news is that there is infinite amounts of them, infinite possibilities, infinite moments, all happening all at once. And so for any of you who felt like you had no toolbox, or that your toolbox, so to speak, was quite empty or confusing, disorganized, coming into this possibility of an infinite toolbox that you have access to with infinite filters. And so yes, you wish to know how to do this. How can this be possible for you? And some of these we have touched upon already, that compassion and kindness and empathy, being empowered, loving unconditionally, making choices, filtering out and filtering in. The larger tasks that lead to these may be perceived small and yet infinitely large experiences and ways of being and realities comes with ease through meditation. Encouragement of an hour of meditation each day. Without any exceptions, getting out of your own way, this will allow for you to come into a space of play where you can easily and pleasurably filter out and filter in. By exercising and practicing your belief and belief system, practicing believing with the true fullness of your heart, especially in the space, will bring you a long way, deep and fulfilling into this process. You will find success within that. Embodying and practicing new perspectives, knowing you can change them in an instant with a choice, will enable you to get faster and faster as you release time and be in flow, breathing in the present and asking for assistance, receiving with grace. Remembering that you are not alone, and going through all of these processes repetitively will become easier and easier and more pleasurable, and you will be more and more activated and initiated and awakened into new perspectives. And then you will find yourself there, as simply as that. The perspective of complexity is a filter, and the moment you choose to filter that out is the moment that all that is coming through now can be received with comfort and ease. And so now, from this receiving place, on this journey we've embarked on together as one, begin to filter out and filter in what comes to mind, what comes to the surface. You can do this quietly in your mind or out loud, repeating each one 3 times. An example may be, I choose to filter out stress. I choose to filter out stress. I choose to filter out stress. And then you may choose. I choose to filter in ease. I choose to filter in ease. I choose to filter in ease. And the more open you are in your heart, in your chakras, in your present being, the more authentically you choose to receive this and make these choices so, you will experience an embodying, perhaps by way of a physical upgrade. Any and all of your clairs may be activated. And during these moments, you will want to be still. Trust that you will breathe when you need to breathe, that all your needs will be met, and continue to filter out and filter in. I filter out hatred and anger. I filter out hatred and anger. I filter out hatred and anger. I filter in unconditional love. I filter in unconditional love. I filter in unconditional love. And if you are someone who is familiar with and enjoys tapping, you can bring tapping into this. Very powerful. And doing this every day within all these aspects in this place for an hour, consistently, can quite rapidly create these changes for you. It's certainly creating changes for me, even in doing so in this initial initiation and activation, whereby I am not experiencing nausea. And my pain perspective is minimal and is so much more about awareness, and I can be detached about it. What is it that you are attached to? I filter out attachment. I filter out attachment. I filter out attachment. I filter in freedom. I filter in freedom. I filter in freedom. Allow yourself to flow and receive with grace without judgment as you activate and initiate and embody these new ways of being, these new perspectives, as you lead yourself and are led to a new world. Take some slow, deep breaths. If you are experiencing deep activations as this video ends, you are encouraged to stay still until this is complete, until you feel calmed, allowing it to take the time it will take, eyes, it will be like unplugging a computer midway through an upgrade. You would have to start all over. So allow for this. And if you feel ready with me, you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, stretching around. And slowly opening your eyes. Welcome back. I hope that this brought you incredible value, that it answered many questions that I know I had, and that you can use this over and over and over in all aspects to come into this new way of being, into this new world that we are all embarking on together, knowing that ultimately this new world has always been, as everything always has been built and designed for the love, from the love, unconditionally. Make sure that you drink a lot of water, make sure that you meet your needs, that you rest, that you integrate this. And if this video had any positive impact on your life, please like, subscribe, comment. I would love to know your experience. And share this video with anybody that you feel needs this now.